page development, database. The only thing that you need to learn is email, okay, sending email. So let me go to Visual Studio. Let's go to Visual Studio. Now I'm going to create an email page. Let me just create a simple web form without master page for that email. All right, and what I'm going to do is create a few add a few web controls. Okay. So we have a name, email, subject, message, a button to send, and a label to show whether the email has is sent successfully. And then in the code behind, we are going to write for the button a click event. Okay, and then because we're using email, we need one class. We need to import one class. And that is the mail class. Okay, the mail class. And let me copy some code and show you. All right. After we have this mail class, we can then create a message object. Okay. We call that send confirmation email. Okay, mail message object, and then a SMTP client. This is key component that enable our emailing. We'll call this SMTP confirmation email. This is actually a typo here, so let me just a second. Okay. And then create a string variable and just say thanks for the order. Okay. Then we need to create a network email object. Okay. Call that credential, the crypt, the confirmation email. And then it needs two piece of information. The one is, where are we sending this from? In this case, we're using Gmail. Google allows you to send email through their email server. Most of the ISP will not allow you to do that unless you have an account with them. The purpose is that they don't want you use their email server to send spam mail. Okay, and this is actually the password, email and password. And the send the email object, in this case here. Okay, we can actually send multiple emails. So this object, very similar to the cookie object, you can have multiple email address. You can send multiple emails. In our case, we get it from TB, email text box, or from this ASPX. And then we also get, where do you want to send it to, okay? No, this tell you, where is the front, okay? So this should be the same as this email. No, I'm sorry. This is also the email we want to send it to. Okay, and we create that as an object. Okay, and then this is important. Okay, it is from this email because we have an account with Google. That's why we can send email. Through through Google. So this from is very important. Okay. Subject, it's okay. Well, actually, the subject we can get it from here, right? This TP subject. Do like TP dot text. The body, we say name. Because we'll get it from the ASPX. Email, also get it from the ASPX plus message. Okay, the message is here. TP message. The character 13 is calories return. Okay, and 10. I mean, 10 is the live feed. So when you have name, and then you create a separate line. Okay, and then you just hit enter. Okay, hit return. And then you feed the line. But this will not work with some of the browsers. Okay. All right. So host, very important. Now this is actually Google's email server, and emails server port. They require you to send it through SSL, secure socket layer. Okay, they also want user default credential equal to true. That means we have the credential. Okay, this is our email account and password. Okay. And after that, we'll go ahead and just send it. Using this SMTP confirmation email object to send it. Send what? Send this email. So this send confirmation email contains where to send it to, where to send it from. The host, subject, body. Okay. If we send it successfully, and we just say it in the label message. Otherwise, you print in so when you guys use do yours, okay, make sure that you have email account, Gmail account, all right? So we can actually give it a try. So email here. Let's go ahead and run in browser. All right, let's see. I need to email subject message the text. All right, email sent successfully. And I need to go to my just a second. I need to go to my email and show you. Every time when I use Zoom, I don't know about you, when I use Zoom to host, and my network becomes so slow. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my browser. Right, this is just came in. Okay. So okay, so name, email, message, okay, but we don't see that return and also the line feed. That has something to do with the browser. Okay. All right, so the code can be found in my development guide. It's out here. Okay, and there's some there's a link that if you want to learn more about it, there's a link go to. Let me copy the new one. Okay. But I need to leave a password. Okay, so let me go back to my browser. Now, in Canvas, okay, Canvas module number 8. We have this online project number 3. Now, I have an option for you. For those of you who by now are more comfortable with ASP.NET, I want you to take this project number 3 so you can build a bit more on your hands-on skills in ASP.NET. It's really not that much, okay, but it's good for you to keep doing a bit more. Right? For this one, I don't have any except the email. Okay, sending confirmation email. you need to write your own code. But like I say, it's almost everything that you have learned so far. You have already learned create form, to use web control and create, code behind, save to a database. So I'll give you an option, okay? For those of you who are more comfortable about this ASP.NET, you take this option and you take this project, and then you don't need to take final exam. Now, final exam is not, easy. It's not easier than project number 3. But for those of you who are not very comfortable with project, ASP.NET till now, don't do project number 3. You take the final exam. The final exam basically is, those lecture video, and also some of the question from project 1 and number 2. Okay, so what is in project number 3? You develop a checkout page to gather customer payment and shipping information. Now, in your template, you probably already have that template already. Like this. Let me show you. Just a second. Okay. Just a second. Just so slow. What's going on here? Let me switch to it. Switch to that. Okay, this is our template. Okay, the easy shopper, and there is a checkout.html, and you can just use it for shipping and also billing, but it may not be exactly the same as what we need. For example, bill to here, you don't have credit card number and so on, but you just create all. All right. And let me go back to development. I mean, the project. Where is it? Here. Okay, so check out ASVA page based on your template. You're going to gather customer payment and shipping information. Save the information to the order head table, and then send a confirmation email. Okay, so the information to gather from the customer include first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, phone number, email address, credit card number, credit card type, and credit card expiration date. It could be only web control using text box or drop down down list, as you wish. Okay, create a validation control. I'm going to show you. A lot of you have not finished your project number 2. So I cannot show you this. I'm going to wait until Wednesday, maybe Wednesday show you. Okay. But you don't need to check everything. Just show some, you have some, just show you can do completeness, data type. Okay. And if the state is California, and apply 9.5% tax rate, shipping is free. Then you send a confirmation email to the customer. I will give you the code. Okay, try it out by yourself. And this is not, and then after here's wrong. I need to collect this. After the confirmation email is sent, you then clear all cookies and session variables. That means close out. Okay. So you have an option. All right. So this is really not that difficult. You just have, I just want those of you who want to, do more in ASP.NET and just do a little bit more. Everything you already learned except the email. I'll give you the code already. Okay. And then if you don't think you can do this, you take final exam. In other words, if you take project number 3, you don't need to take final exam. you get full point from the final exam. Okay. All right. So you understand?
Yeah, I think so. So if we,
So if you do a final exam, what's on the final exam?
The final exam will be from there will be all multiple choice questions. Okay. It is question from those lecture videos you have watched so far. The digital transformation, SEO, and there's one more to come. That's social media computing, social computing, and plus ASP.NET project and your online store project 1 and 2. Okay, so you need to study. If you have not watched it, or you just watch not very closely, watch it again. Take notes and try to understand. Okay. And for those of you, I do have some who has no problem with ASP.NET and so forth. And do question number 3. It's due at the same time as you come to take at the same time as our final exam, so you got plenty of time. Okay. All right.
yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start talking about this online payment processing. So let's go to the browser. On my website, okay. You know where my website is, right? Let me show you what it is one more time. That's my website, hwang.csdp.cpp.edu. You come in, you click 4250. I'm not using this website a lot, okay. Instead, I'm using that online development live guide. You know what? Because some of the links, you see this one here? I used to have, what do you call this? ISSP. And they changed the links. So in my website, I have a lot of links. And those websites, they change, their web pages, change the link, it's hard for me to catch up. So, but once in a while, I'll come back to you, for example, we're going to talk about the online payment processing. Is under P2C. If you go to P2C, you expand this online payment processing. I'm going to talk about this payment processing service provider, and then payment flow, and then this payment process. I mean, a gateway. Payment gateway especially. Okay, so we need to have all these basic knowledge before we can do our online payment processing using the Authorite.net web API and do our online payment processing. Okay, so payment service provider is a general term. They're about the company that provide online services, okay, for us to process payment. So that's not just online store. Any company who want to do some online payment, you can just go to this PSP. So so this general term. So there are a lot of different type of PSP. PayPal is one of them. Google is one of them. And then we are going to focus on something called payment gateway. Okay, but anyway, what they do is they basically to accept electronic payments by a variety of payment methods, including credit card, bank-based payment, such as direct debit, bank transfer, and real-time bank transfer. So you can see from this, you can see that it is not just about online, store. Any of the B2B, any of the internal finance, processing, payment processing, you can use their service. Now, of course, for online store, you have to use their service. I talked about this before. Today, you have to use payment service. You have to do that real time. online and real time. There's no way that you still tell people, hey, give me your pass, your credit card, then I'll just do it offline. You can't do that. Okay. And what is a payment gateway? Payment gateway such as Authorize.net. We're going to talk about this, more, in a few minutes. It's a type of payment service provider that authorizes payment for online stores. It is similar to a physical point of sale terminal. Okay, located in most retail outlet, but in this case, it is online. Now, payment gateways protect credit card details by encrypting service information such as credit card numbers to ensure that information is passed securely between the customer and the merchant. And of course, between customer and merchant, there are a lot of entities. Okay, I will talk about that in a few minutes. In other words, a process is kind of long, from customer and from customer and merchant, and between the merchant and payment processor. Okay, so customers send credit card information to merchant send it to payment processor, and the other way around. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how it works, how this payment gateway works. Okay, there are 13 steps. Now, first step, okay, the customer submits, it's his or her, credit card transaction, or what we talk about is credit card number, expiration day, it's CVV, and so on, right? To the merchant server. What's merchant server? Merchant server is our ISP, whoever is hosting your online store. Okay, you may not, use a ISP's server. You have your own server. Nowadays, many companies can afford their own server as long as your connection, your internet bandwidth is good enough. So you can have T1 line, even T3 line. Nowadays, it's not very expensive. So it doesn't matter. Okay, so the merchant server. Okay, let's just say this merchant server has your online store. So you can replace this merchant server by online store. So customer sends a credit card info in a transaction to online store via a secure connection. Now, everything that you have, all the transaction, okay, you send it to the internet has to be via a secure connection. So every single step. So I'm not going to repeat this in the secure connection. All right. So first step, the customer sends credit card information to the online store, and the online store submit the credit card transaction to the payment gateway. Okay. And this, in this case, let's say the Authorize.net or some other company, and the payment gateway will pass the the secure transaction, whatever, to bank processor of the bank, merchant's bank. Okay, and then the bank processor will submit the transaction to the credit card inter-exchange, like Visa, Master, the American Express. And that is a network of financial entities that communicates to manage the processing, clearing, and settlement of credit card transaction. Okay. And then the credit card inter-exchange will route or reroute the transaction to the customer credit card issuer. In this case, what is customer credit card issuer? Bank, right? Union, all right? Any financial institute that can issue a credit card. Or even today, any merchant, like Amazon has its own credit card. But when Amazon want to create credit card, they have to work with the bank. It's called synchronized bank, something like that. And then the customer's credit card issuer approves or decline the transaction based on customers' available funds, and then pass the transaction result, approval code or decline message back to the credit card inter-exchange. And the credit card inter-exchange will relay the transaction result back to bank processor, and the bank processor will then reroute the transaction result to payment gateway, and the payment gateway, which is the closest to to our online store. Okay, and then here it says it store the transaction result. Now, when we talk about authorized.net, we will talk more about this. Why do they have to store it? There's good purpose. Okay, but it'll just store it for you. Okay, and eventually send the transaction, the result, back to the online store. All right, and then once the credit card is okay, you can then fulfill the order by developing goods or service to customer. Remember I said, a couple of weeks ago, you cannot charge your customer until you ship the goods. Sometimes they send what do you call that, authorization kind of transaction for $1 to make sure that you have the fund over there. Okay, you can when you send transaction to a payment gateway, you cannot send zero. You cannot do that. It has to be some kind of amount. Okay. So it's online store. You cannot charge. Actually get the money until you fulfill the order. And once you once you fulfill the order, and the online store will submit all the approved transaction in a batch to the merchant's bank or online store's bank. You can tell me, so hey, these are the 10 transactions I have today. Okay, but this has to be done electronically, right? Okay. So a lot of online store like you and me, we're not that big. And how do you create a program that you can actually communicate with your bank to send in transaction? So that's why we need payment gateway. They can do it for us. So that's why they can store transaction on their server. They can do that for you, for us. Okay. For settlement, it has to be in batch. You don't want to do every time when you ship it in order, and you turn and ask your company, oh, give me the money. No, you don't do that. That's not efficient. You do that in the batch, usually at the end of the day. Okay. Now, if we have an account with payment gateway, for example, Authorize.net, they will automatically do that for you, once a day at the end of the day. That's called clearing. Okay. And the customer, the credit card issuer will send the proper fund for the transaction to the credit card in the exchange. And the credit card in the exchange will pass the fund to your bank, our bank. And then, our bank will deposit the total of the approved fund into our account. You see, this is so many steps, right? So many steps. And we don't get to see it, right? Today, when you you place an order on Amazon, for example, they send a credit card over, and everything's happening, behind the scene. And there's so many steps like this. So in terms of payment flow, to make it easy, make it simple, basically just buyer through whatever device, the issuing bank, the credit card, and then you have this interchange here, doing a buyer's bank, and then this, and then you go to let me backtrack. This is actually about Authorize.net. Not yet. Now we're going to talk about Authorize.net in particular. Okay. Now Authorize.net as a payment gateway company is one of popular PSP. Okay, and they've been I don't know how long they've been in business. In year 2011, Authorize.net was purchased by by Visa. Okay. Let me ask a question, see if you can answer that. Now you take a look at this this process, online payment process. Tell me why Visa. What is the advantage of Visa to acquire Authorize.net? Authorize.net is actually payment gateway. Okay, and then Visa is credit card in exchange. Anybody?
To avoid fees?
Oh, I can't hear. Can you speak loudly?
To avoid fees?
Wonderful. Okay. Because you see here, all the transaction here, they're all time, they're all service, right? Network service, they all take time. In other words, it is consume services, and service has a cost. So whatever answer, I give you 2 points, that's 1 point. Another thing is time, right? If this guy can be in one guy, it can be it can do anything behalf of everything between the merchant. This area, these two can be replaced, can be integrated, and also somewhere here can be integrated. So you can also make it faster, right? So it is one of the smart, the smartest move, in this merge, kind of history. Visa actually acquired Authorize.net. Okay. And the payment gateway provides an infrastructure and security ensure transmission of credit card transaction data. Merchant can log into a secure website, and then call the merchant's interface to manage their transaction, and configure, account setting, view account statements, generate reports, and more. In other words, you can sign up with Authorize.net. Once you have an account, you can sign in, okay? Log in, you can configure your account setting, okay? What kind of setting? For example, the author and the credit card verification, method. You have to tell them, hey, what do you want to verify? Do you want to verify the cardholder name, plus address, plus credit card number, expiration date, or CVV, security code? What do you want to, what do you want to verify? They give you a choice. Okay, and of course you can also view your statement, general report, because once you have an account, and then Authorize.net, remember, they will, settle your transaction for you once a day, right? You can always go in there and take a look at the statement. You can always generate reports and more, okay? Now this more is very important. We will talk about it, okay? So we're using Authorize.net service to learn how credit card transaction can be facilitated online in real time through web service or web API. Okay. So the way we learn how to use web API is that we use that API to do online payment processing through Authorize.net. Okay. And then it's on Wednesday I will ask you to create yourself an account. They have a $10 account, trial experiment account, free. Okay. And here are the steps. Okay, we'll do that on Wednesday. And for Authorize.net, there's 3 type of services. Okay. The first type of services is the most the easiest. It's called simple checkout. Now, simple checkout. This link is broken, so here's the link. It's called simple checkout. And what you do is you customize it, copy it, and then paste it. Now let me explain that to you. Remember when we talk about form, right? We talk about HTML form. You have form tag, method equal to post, and there's a name, right? And also there is action. All right. The action it contains the server program, right? Okay. Now, let's say you have an online store, but you don't have programming skill, or you don't have somebody working for you, a programmer working for you, so you can create some program to actually send that credit card information or transaction to payment gateway, okay, without and then get the result back instantly. You can't do that. You don't know how to do that, or you just don't have people help you. And there is a shortcut. The shortcut is you can just go through there. There's a wizard. The wizard is, you go through the wizard. I don't have, you can see here. Okay, you have to sign up. the wizard, like I said, is actually once you start, they ask you, hey, what type of credit card information you want to collect. You choose it. Let's say you want car number, you want card holder name, expiration date, and the security code. Let's say 1, 2, 4, 5 items, and then it will automatically create you HTML form field. Okay, for example, the card holder you're creating input type equal to text, right? You have a text box. Okay, and then for expiration date, they create the drop down list, or in terms of HTML is select, right? Select tag, and every single entry for that select is an option tag. Okay, this will automatically create it for you, right? And at the end, okay, they will produce a form tag, a form, a HTML form for you with all the form fields, and also inside the action, they automatically put their their server program for you. In other words, and then what? And you just copy that whole form, to HTML, paste that to your online store, your checkout page. Okay, and then after that, your customer, when your customer arrives at this checkout, page, they'll fill out the payment information, all right, and then click submit. And when the customer click the submit, the browser will then send all the data from that from the phone fields in that form, okay, and send it with that server program, send it to the Authorize.net directly. And then that's it, you're done. There's nothing coming back. Okay, so the very disadvantage of this is after that your customer doesn't know, do not know what's going on, and you don't know what's going on. The only way you know is they will send you email, say, hey, you just got an order, okay, and the customer used credit card, and it is successfully being processed. So you read your email, you know it, or you log in into your account, figure out what are those transactions you have. So this is just for those people, those online store that just don't have the knowledge, the fun to do it. Not very ideal, right? For us, for you and me. Of course, we don't want to do this. We want to just run a program, so we can call, we will call that Alpha.net web API and wait and then get the result, right? And then if you do that, that is called payment transaction. So Authorize.net allows merchant or online store to host their own secure payment form on their website, mobile devices, and send transaction to the payment gateway using the end-to-end secure stuffy layer. The end-to-end also means web API or web services, the B2B kind of processing. Okay, and this is what we are going to do on Wednesday. And of course, in order for us to know how to do this, we still need to know some more things. Okay, we will talk about it. Okay, and the third type of service is more advanced. Now, the most important reason for this customer profile is that as a merchant or as a online store or as a company who want to conduct e-commerce like this, unless you are PCI compliant, okay, you cannot store customers' credit card on your hard drive. Okay, and and that just a regulation. It is not very easy to get PCI compliant. How do you get PCI compliant? your bank. That's usually handled by your bank. Your bank has to send somebody to come to your company and then and do a checkup. And also you need as an owner or the online store owner or somebody in your company who knows this online store or knows the security, you need to pass the test. So it's not easy. Okay. So especially for those online store who just use the ISP as to host their host. How do you have that PCI, right? Right? And then even though your ISP PCI, but they won't take the risk storing your your customer credit card information. And in this case, if we do payment transactions, Authorize can already have all the credit card information, and also the authorization code or the client code, whatever. They already have it. So why not, tell them, hey, store, all the my, transaction there, because Authorize.net for sure, is PCI compliant, and not just that. Okay, we can actually, store, remember that when you do, your online store, you have a card table, right? Okay, shopping cart table. You also have, after you finish the customer finish the checkout, you also have another table called order head table that stores order number, the customer name, credit card information, shipping information, all type. These all can be stored with Authorize.net. They already have it. So why not use their service? It's just like, you could have a complete order module or customer module, okay, and Authorize that with Authorize.net. And you can also call that a client-based, a cloud-based kind of the customer, and versus order, service, right? So Authorize.net enables online store to tokenize and store sensitive customer payment information on their secure server, which simplifies this PCP, the PCI compliance, as well as payment processing for returning customer and reoccurring transaction. A lot of customer are old customer, or even the account-based customer. So when they come in, they don't have to fill out their credit card number again. Like Amazon, right? You come in, they ask you which payment which card you want to use. Okay, and then all these data items are being stored with Authorize.net server, and you just use it. And then what? And then you can use Web API. Now here, for this one, we only use one Web API, which is just the credit card authorization. That's it. But for here, you can communicate with Authorize.net server by using all kinds of Web API. In this case, Authorize.net has Web API for you to call, so you can make a call. Say, hey, give me certain customer's information. They'll send you the customer address, customer, how much they purchased before. It's just like you have a customer module actually running on your local machine, right? Any of the today's business back-end system has customer module, order module, a payment module, okay, inventory module, and so on, right? And so you're running this actually on Authorize.net, but you're not running some kind of accounting system from that from the cloud. Authorize the cloud. They have an SAP or some kind of Mass 90 kind of online accounting information system. No, you have to write your own API. So you have to write your own code to use the Web API. Again, for example, you can get you can make a Web API call to retrieve one of the customer's information. Okay, you can also create another module to call Authorize.net's customer edit kind of Web API, so you can edit customers' information. Okay, a lot of things. So and today, a lot of company actually are using this customer profile, service. I have experience, working with some local business, and I'm using, their web API. All of them are using customer profile. I developed, their all the web API call, and then so their online store basically totally automated by using Alpharetta.net. Okay, but of course we don't have time to do this. We're gonna do this. Once you know how to do this, all the other API, you just, is no big deal. Okay. Okay, now. We also need to know the credit card transaction type. A few types. First is authorized only. Let's talk about this one. Authorization only. Now, when the customer places an order with you, okay, and then you want to make sure that his credit card is valid, and you send, this credit card transaction to Alpharetta.net, and that's called authorization only. You only get this authorization code back, and the type is called AUTH_ only. Okay, and after you ship it, you can capture it. All right, you can capture it, and this is capture only. Okay, so if you are an online store that you cannot determine shipping cost, for example, you usually just do authorization first. Okay, and then wait until you ship it, and then you can do this capture. Okay, now the capture is not settled. Okay, the settle has to be done by the Alpharetta.net for you. This is only capture. You want to tell because you only have this Alpharetta.net authorization code, right? You got to tell their credit card company or their bank to give me the money, because you already ship it. So that's called capture. Once you have the authorization code, you do capture, right? And you can do this all together. That means what? If you already know the final amount, no change, and you're going to ship right away. Okay, and some company actually doing that, right? Just to save some some time, some cost. But now by law you can't do that. You have to really do this authorization, and you cannot capture until you ship the goods. So what is this purpose for this? Now you actually have some of the physical store. You go in there, okay, and you see they're using a computer. They're not, if you go to a retail store, they have this POS, right, point of sale machine, right? So they scan, ding, ding, right? And at the end, you insert your card, okay? That's it's a POS. Some company actually use the online, kind of they have an iPad, for example. Okay, so online, okay, they're buying things. So when they come to the checkout, they're using the computer, not the POS. Okay, they use computer. Okay, at that time, you can do this authorization and capture all at the same time, right? All at the same time, right? Because they have the goods, right, in the basket and the cart, and they give you a credit card number. You just may as well get authorization and capture the money all at the same time. You can also avoid it. Okay, so there are different types. So when we use Alpharetta.net, we would make a web API call to Alpharetta.net. We do need to tell that web API server side, okay, what type of transaction you want to do. And then and then let's talk about transaction request. Okay, when we send it out as a request, after that they'll send a response back. So how do we send it to them? And so in the API fields, okay, for each transaction in the following name and value. Okay, in this case, they require you to have what? To have a value pair. Okay, name value pair. So have name and values. In other words, field. Okay, in using API terms, it's called API fields. So have fields equals value. In our programming, we usually call that name, right, and value. So, here it is. If we want to do authorization, you need merchant's information, login, and transaction key, right? When when you sign up with them Wednesday, when you have this sandbox account, you are going to have they're going to send you your login ID and also the transaction key. Okay, and you also need to tell them what type. So this AUTH underscore only. For payment cell, you need to send over amount. You cannot send zero. You cannot send. Just credit card number expiration for what? You gotta send them the amount, right? At that time, if that credit card has a sufficient fund, you get an authorization. You get an authorization code. If it doesn't have a sufficient fund, or that credit card, card basically is closed, for security reason, or there's some kind of fraud, involving, then it give sends you a decline code. Okay, but you do need to send the amount, credit card number, expiration. This is minimum. Okay, minimum. All right. Now, if you want to do capture, same thing. You all need to send in the login ID and transaction key, and type is capture only. And this time you need to send authorized code. From this authorization, you already have the code. The same thing, you have to store that in the database. And here, you send you send it over to them. And then you took out here the amount, card, expiration, the same, right? The amounts like this, you cannot, when you capture, okay, you cannot send an amount that is larger than the amount that was authorized. That's the rule. Okay. And how do you do void? No, just a second. There's one more thing here. Capture only. If you want to do void, right? You then need to send out the transaction ID. Now, every time when you send a request, that transaction has an ID. The author.net will create an ID, very similar to a card number. Okay, and I render an ID and send it to you. And when you receive it, you also need to store that transaction ID in your database. Which table? In the order hit table, right? So if you want to void it, you just send in the transaction ID. They don't know which one to void. Okay. How about the response? They're going to send a string, a long string of data. Okay. Now, so the transaction response from author.net is returned as a delimited string. Now, you can, most of the time you want that to be delimited. Okay, you don't want to just send you the whole string without something, a separator inside. So so you just want to count. Okay, the first 2 digits, the next 5 digits. That's not very easy to do. So use the limited kind of string, and provide information about the status of a transaction. Fields in the response are delimited by a character that is specified in the transaction request. We will tell them, okay, when we send a request, we will tell them, hey, which character you want to use as the delimited character or separator. And the merchant server can parse the data. The merchant server is us, okay, the online store, so can parse this data to customize the receipt message, and then that can be displayed or emailed to the customer. You can also use the following field to customize the format of the transaction response. Okay. Then in that long string, okay, separated by the character you specify. The first one is always the overall status of the transaction. 1 means approved. If you receive 2, that means decline. 3 means error. Something is error. The credit card, says something, there's error. This either is neither approved nor decline. Number 4, help review. Okay. The second component component is or data. Okay, response. It's response subcode. It's a code that explains further for your the overall status. Okay. So a code used by the payment gateway to internal transaction tracking. Now I may have to. So the response subcode. Do I have it? Now this is a reason code. Okay, now here 1 1 2 2 1 3 3 2 4. Okay, if you receive 1 and 1, so the first digit, the second not digit, the first character, the second character. Okay, so first one is overall status. Now the second one is the response subcode, and that means what? This transaction has been approved. Okay, and the text is stored in a number 4. The reason also has a code. Okay, and the reason has a text. And the 5th element is the actual authorization code. Okay, and the 6th will tell you what's going on with that with the AVS. Okay. AVS stands for address verification service. If you receive A, that means address matches, zip code does not. If it's B, address information not provided for AVS check. Okay, and so on. Okay. The 7th element is the transaction ID. So when you excuse me, when your program receives the transaction response, you have to parse it and then get those important data out and then store it in your table. Or if we send back it's a decline, you then display a message to your customer saying this card is not good. Please use a different card. If it's improved, okay, then just proceed to send customer a confirmation email. Okay, and do your checkout, clean up, something like that. Okay, they do have documentation. This is Author.net. If you want to use web API from a different payment processing payment gateway, then you have to read different kind of documentation. Now this all I'm showing you with you here. It's actually from okay. I've read the documentation many times because I have to create a lot of programs for you. When I worked as a consultant, I quit already. After becoming chair, I don't have time to do that. I was doing this a lot, with the the industry. Okay, so these are basic knowledge we need to know. All right. Wednesday we are going to smoking. All right, so you go home when you have time. You can start working on this sandbags. Okay. If you don't have time, you can wait until Wednesday. We'll do it together. Okay. Then again, I have sample code. You don't need to write anything from scratch, but you just have to learn how web API can be called, and how do you write your program to call that web API and use the and process the result. And it's not the next step is how you actually create your own API. So let's say you Author.net. You want to create a web API for people, for your customer, or your client to use. That's different thing. Okay, that's something, you know, ahead. Okay, but at least we need to know how to use Web API in our program, you know, in this for this online store. All right. Questions?
None that I can think of.
Wednesday, you know, we're gonna do in in a synchronized way. All right, so all of you will turn on your Visual Studio, your laptop, you know, and run your Visual Studio, and we're gonna do it together. At the end, you have to send me a screenshot to make sure to show me that you've done it by yourself. So, number one, you need a tab. Number two, you need to work with me.
So next Wednesday, we're just gonna be following along whatever you're doing.
You know what? Yours speakerphone's kind of volume kind of low. Please try again.
So next Wednesday, right? We're gonna be sitting down with you and copying what you do on screen.
Can't hear it.
His question, Professor, is are we going to be doing this Wednesday or next Wednesday for the sandbox?
This Wednesday, coming Wednesday. The day after tomorrow.
Copy, and then we just follow along with what you do and then send you the
Yes,
screenshot
you're
at the
gonna
end?
follow me one step at a time. Okay? One step at a time. You just follow me. All you need to do is just have, you have Visual Studio. All right, did I answer your question, Sena?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I had one, Professor. I emailed you about a meeting after class. Can we still meet after class today?
Okay, I will stay here for you, okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yeah, and I know so far there are only 2 people, show me your project number 2. Tomorrow's the deadline, all right? You all need to show me your project number 2. And man, so many people, I don't know. But this time it's going to be a lot easier, a lot quicker. It's only a few steps. Okay. I checked see if your card can add an item, can update in quantity, can delete an item. Do you have data validation? Do you have the extension, total card total, and empty card button? It won't take that, but tomorrow's the deadline. Okay, first come, first serve. I will be in Zoom from 11 to 12:30. All right, let me take a roll. Just a second. Do not leave. All right, Josiel?
Here.
Good. Steve?
Here.
All right, Sinan here. Okay, Eric Chong? Eric Chong.
Hello?
Eric Chong, are you here? Is he here? Eric Chong.
Hello? Yeah, he's here.
Okay, good. You never missed a class so far. Fedi? No. Fedi? No? All right. Nicholas Malone?